Hey, what's up, sports fans? We are coming to you after another great weekend of NFL action. This is Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF with our Week 2 NFL recap. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and all the other great platforms, as well as find us socially on Instagram and X. And, of course, our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF into the search bar, and we'll pop right up for all of your listening pleasure. RPF, my friend, how are you feeling after Week 2?
We have literally 16 more weeks of this. It's like, I'm
not gonna make
know how much more I can.
I'm not gonna make. We'll get into why, but I'm not gonna make it.
You know, I think you should check out after Week 4 and take. Maybe we should have 3 buys this season for you, because it's gonna be a rough emotional road for a lot of us.
Yes. And for those of you that haven't caught on yet, we're talking about my Patriots, and obviously they played RPF's Dolphins this past Sunday night. It was a great game, but we'll get into that as we cover all the games here. So
It's a bit like the Dolphins played the old Dolphins, by the way. For part of the game, it was a lot of Devontae Parker and Gesicki for my taste. But anyway,
it was,
cool.
yeah. It's which I had them marked as having good games, just because the whole, everyone loves a good revenge game,
Revenge,
whether you want to admit it
sure.
or not. It's always great playing against your old team. You always get amped up, and you always do some special stuff. So, hey, let's dial all the way back. We're going to cover all the games. Some of them super brief. Some of them we'll dive into a little bit in more detail. But let's go all the way back to Thursday night. And Thursday night, we had the Vikings and Eagles. The Eagles edged the Vikings 34-28. But RPF, were you at all shocked that the Vikings were able to put up 28 on the Eagles?
No, I'm not. In fact, I'm the only person probably in the NFL universe still not convinced about the Eagles' prowess. I do think that Eagles are vulnerable. Just it needs like a Belichick defensive mind and a Mike McDaniel offensive mind to get it together to beat them, because they're really solid. They're solid across, so they're not like wowing anybody. The Cowboys in two games have blown me away, because week 1 they did it with defense, week 2 they did it with offense. That's a team I'm scared about. You know? The Eagles, I think there's ways of. I mean, I might be eating crow when the Dolphins play them and they beat us by 41 points. But I'm just saying, right now, I'm not as scared of the Eagles as I am certainly of facing the Cowboys.
Yeah, true. Just keep in mind, I had the Cowboys winning that division over the Eagles.
You did.
Moving on, let's go to our Sunday 1:00 games. We had the Bills. Josh Allen and the Bills went ahead and say, "Yeah, I told you, it's just a fluke. I told you." They went ahead and put up 38 on the Raiders compared to the Raiders 10. So listen, no surprises there. We're gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah, but just quickly, I think Josh Allen became Josh Allen, of course, but the Raiders. I mean, the sad part is Garoppolo became the Garoppolo that we thought he'd be. It's like, I mean, that I thought he wasn't anymore, and that was kind of interesting to see.
Yeah,
because the Bills' defense is not terrifying anybody, and they kind of shut them down. So
yeah. And just to clarify, it is Garoppolo and not Garofalo.
Whatever.
He's a football player, not an actor.
Look, anyone without jawline can be called whatever the hell he wants. He gets all the girls whenever he wants it. So you know what? God is fair. He has a name I can't pronounce. Great. All right.
Perfect. All right. Moving on. Next game up.
I like to see him say my name, Perez Feria. Very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I have probably the same stats as he will against the Bills. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, I'm getting amped up already. It's so early in the episode.
Yeah, this all just leads into Dolphins Patriots.
Kind of dovetails nicely in the last.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it though? Yeah, it's real great. Hey, listen, we had a division rivalry gangbuster. We had the Ravens and Bengals, in which the Ravens edged the Bengals 27-24. Lamar Jackson outduels Joe Burrow. Now, listen, I have this noted on here because typically, quarterback-wise, Lamar Jackson doesn't wow you. He's right. Super talented. And he runs for all these yards, but like as far as passing and all that stuff, he doesn't typically outduel the great quarterbacks of the league. Lamar Jackson outduels Burrow. I think it's more testament to Burrow just not being
I've been
great.
Calling this last week. I said Burrow. It wasn't that he lost to the Browns. The bank is how they lost and how awful Burrow looked, and he looked worse week 2.
This
is the presumptive MVP candidate. This is
right.
presumptive
I had it. Yes,
Super Bowl team.
Raising my hand. I have them. I believe I had them Super Bowl winners and Joe Burrow MVP and all that jazz. Also in the game, not only did he perform not great, Burrow aggravates his calf. And my question now is: are the Bengals okay? Like, are they like? Are we flipping the script?
Well, luckily
here?
they have the Browns and the Steelers in their division. The only team they have to worry about is really the Ravens in front of them. But I think obviously look, it's a 17-game season. They're going to be at worst, let's say 10-7, woo, and a wild card with a bullet rising. So I'm not worried about them yet, but I think it is alarming how Burrow is playing.
Have we gone through, like in our own heads, have we gone through the math and does 10-7 in the AFC get you a wild card?
I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. Exactly. I think honestly, the Patriots could be 10-7, and I wouldn't want to face them again after, I'm saying, well, we'll
maybe.
talk about
Yeah. Yeah. Depends on who's catching the ball at the end of the game. Whether it's a rookie named
the offensive lineman,
whether it's a rookie named Booty or an offensive lineman.
Oh my God!
All right, next up we have the Chiefs edging the Jaguars 17-9. Listen, no real big surprises here. I thought the Jaguars hung in decently. They struggled big time in the red zone. And
this is the deal. I called this game as the popcorn game of the week, and this is going to determine the entire future of known universe of the NFL. I was wrong. This game was literally as boring a game as I saw, and I saw them all. I did the red zone bonanza. I went everywhere. Mahomes barely did Mahomes things.
Yeah,
the Brett girl did nothing to prove that I've been wrong about him, because he's literally the most overhyped type of Vidal Sassoon model ever to play quarterback.
How many have played quarterback? I'm not.
Well, there's been some good hair. It's been like Vinny Testaverde had good hair, and Kurt Warner had good hair. I thought, who had good hair?
Well, case in point, anyway. Here we are talking about the game, talking about great hair.
Well, I'm saying the game was so boring. And first of all, another thing that bothered me, that stadium in Jacksonville, which was like, anyway. It says the only team, I think, only stadium that has their name on the end zone, Jaguars. But in case you don't know where you are, it says Jacksonville on top of it. Really? I mean,
are we unsure?
Anyway,
are we?
I'm just annoyed by the whole Jacksonville Jaguar Brett girl trajectory. When I was kind of buying into it that they could be contenders this year, they look so terrible. Next,
all right. Next, moving on, we have the Chargers losing to the Titans. This one I have as a major surprise to me for a number of reasons. A, I didn't have the Titans being all that great, and B, I had the Chargers being really great. They are now sitting at 0-2. Herbert still manages to put up 305 with 2 touchdowns. I guess the main question here is, can the Chargers do anything this season with the current defense they have?
I think that, exactly. I think the Chargers have the opposite problem that the Bengals have. I mean, they're both 0-2, which is insane.
Insane,
Herbert,
right? Yeah.
Herbert had the Chargers had the misfortune, I think, of playing the most potent offense in football in week 1. That I take you. The Titans, I was hoping the Titans would win, because I don't think the Titans are going to go very far, and the Chargers are going to bounce back and be in the mix for the wild card. So I was happy about that. And by the way, I was pretty happy that Derrick Henry had a bit of a bounce back game. Then he was imposing his presence there.
He's kind of a notoriously slow starter.
Totally. And Tannehill, as you know, a former Dolphin, and I'm very familiar with his assets and drawbacks. He was full on like trade him in my head mentality for the 3/4 of this game. I mean, he was like standing in the pocket and overthrowing by 12 yards. I was like, oh my God, I'm having PTSD watching him try to drive the Titans down the field. And then all of a sudden he became the Ryan Tannehill of year 1 in Tennessee, and he kind of just led the team into contention. And they capitalized, to their credit, they capitalized on the few opportunities they had, and they turned it around. A few games happened that way. The Seahawks, they were out of it the entire game. All of a sudden they're not, and they won. So that, I think, Titans is an asterisk. I think the Chargers are better. The defense is going to have to be bend, not break, and the offense has to just take over. And I think we're not in a panic button stage yet.
Yeah, I mean, they were missing Austin Eckler, who is, key piece to that offense. But my point is like, okay, so you get Austin Eckler. Like, are the Chargers? Are the Chargers at that point where they're just hoping that their defense can hold the other team to like 35 so they can get 42? Like it's
the Ravens a couple years ago when they would just have to put up points and hope that the other team gets tired or something at the end of the game.
right.
Okay, I'm not running.
Man, you guys are fast.
That's the Dolphin strategy. Just keep them running.
Hey, a great game in the NFC here. The Falcons come back with 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to win 25-24 over the Packers. What you got on the Falcons?
It ruined my whole narrative of the Packers being like winning because they're endorphinally happy because the big bad wolf has left the stable.
Right.
But I will say, what was the over under on you and I talking about a great game about the Packers and Falcons in 2023 season? So I think it's a good sign. I think the Falcons. I mean, I never cheer for them. I never think about them. I never even value them as a competitor for some reason. I don't even think about them in that context. They showed something, right? They seem to be playing with a pep in the step. And again, another ex-Dolphin receiver was on the Falcons, and he was all excited, and he caught a bunch of passes. He almost got a touchdown. Anyway, the point is that I was like, okay, the Falcons are showing up. And to their credit, one of those teams that came back that were out of it the entire game. And I was scared about that trajectory happening again with our game that we watched. Anyway, but the point is that, the Falcons, I mean, is it sustainable? No. But is it fun to watch week to week? Sure. Okay.
It's good to see.
If the Falcons played the Bears and the Packers every week, they'd be like, the Cowboys.
It's good to see. They got a young quarterback, and they're obviously got some energy going on. So they might be.
It's fun to see.
Yeah, it's fun to see, and it gives you optimism, certainly for the future as well.
And it ignites a whole fan base that hasn't been excited for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, this next one. I'm not necessarily surprised, more of a disappointment on my end. The Seahawks in overtime, topping the Lions 37-31.
In Detroit.
I thought the Seahawks would be better than they showed up last week. So the fact that they're competitive against the Lions is not a surprise to me. Again, just a disappointment because I'm pulling. I guess this is the year that I'm like Lions.
Me too.
Obviously
I want Dan Campbell to do great. I want the Lions to do great.
The NFC North is open for the taking. Like it,
I think Goff got kind of a raw deal in LA. So I think he's definitely. I mean, this was surprising. If the score was flipped, that would be more. I thought it'd be like 31-24 or something. Mm-hmm. I think at home it's a tough one to lose. Coming off a victory in Kansas City, which was like kind of potentially season fueling for them, and just to lose to a Seahawks team that wasn't proven at home, I'd be upset if I was a Lions fan.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I guess what all I'm saying is at least it wasn't a loss at home to, say the Bears.
Texans.
The
Texans.
I
think the Texans wouldn't even, they'll probably just give them the game. No, it's okay. It's yours.
It's yours. It's fine.
We're playing for the draft picks.
Speaking of the Texans, they lost another one. They fall to 0-2 to the Colts, who put up 31 to their 20. Colts, their young quarterback Richardson looked pretty good. He might need to calm himself down a little bit. I think he had to leave.
He was out.
I think he left the game with a concussion, right? Yeah. So I think he's got that vintage rookie, college quarterback coming into the league mentality of I'm just gonna put my head through everything. Kind of like Josh Allen, but Josh Allen gets away with it somehow, some way. Nothing really to talk about there. It's Colts versus Texans.
Don't care. Move on.
Don't care. Moving on. Next up, speaking of those aforementioned Bears, the Bears fall to 0-2 to the Bucks, who move to 2-0. Mayfield goes 317 yards with a touchdown, 0 interceptions. RPF, my friend. I had the Bucks as the NFC surprise team. Are you buying the Bucks as NFC? I have on my notes here NFC front runners, but I mean NFC South front runners. Division front runners. Are they division front runners at the moment?
I mean, at the moment, yeah. But again, the South. I mean, I think
who's gonna overtake that title? I mean, it's Saints.
Yeah, they're the front runners. The Saints ain't showing anything. I mean, Saints are
they're
the
winning.
Worst 2-0
the Saints
team.
are winning.
Yeah, they're the worst 2-0 team in football.
They're it's not pretty.
I think the Bucs are. I think the trajectory. I mean, the ceiling is not met yet, and they're winning. They're finding. Look, this is what teams have to do, as you know. Teams have to find a way to win when they're not playing 100% around. And the Bucs have found 2 different ways, 2 straight weeks to win with a competent, newly kind of like swaggery quarterback.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that Baker Mayfield as a Buc is way outperforming as an NFL quarterback Deshaun Watson with the world's gazillions contract signed.
Yeah.
And by the way, every week that he's playing, it confirms once again how happy I am that the Dolphins did not empty out our front office choices for this controversial quarterback.
Yep.
So anyway, but yes, I like the Bucs winning. I like the Bucs. I mean, first of all, we talked about this twice now, how astounded I am that after Tom Brady left, they were able to keep so many of their pieces still, without a quarterback, and Baker Mayfield has stepped into that role and said, okay, I'm not Tom Brady, but I'm me. And let's get on with it. So.
Well, I was just going to say, he's borderline outperforming Tom Brady. Tom Brady's last year.
Well, year 2 Tom Brady.
Yeah. Tom Brady's,
yeah.
But granted, the guy was 400 years old, but still, to be able to say that you come in as Tom Brady's replacement and outperform him says a lot. Regardless of
Tom
scenario.
Brady, more like he just realized I have 7 rings. Why am I getting hit by these lines? I'm done. Why am I still getting hit? I'm 64 years old. Let me get off the field.
It's like that commercial. Have you seen that with all the retired NFL players with Dan Marino and Jerry Rice?
Yeah. Dan Marino's, by the way, he's been talking about how he would have thrown for 6,000 yards if he was still playing with this.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
By the way,
moving on. We had a great one with an asterisk. We had the Giants coming back down 20-0 at halftime, coming back to win the game 31-28 against the Cardinals. They came back, obviously, a historic comeback, but they lose Saquon Barkley for a hot minute. I think he's out for, I think they said 3 weeks, probably more like 4 if you ask me. But I have noted here also it was against the Murray-less Cardinals. So,
I mean, first of all, let's. I would take the over/under on Stanford women's lacrosse team being better performing. I mean, they could beat the Cardinals without Murray. Okay, I'm starting there. The fact that the Giants were losing 20-0 to, like you said, a Murray-less Cardinals, I kept thinking. And they lost 40-0 the week before. So for a full game and a half, the score was 60-0.
60-0, yeah.
And the Giants fan base, I kept thinking back when the whole hype about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets, the Giants were kind of low-key excited about their season. And their quarterback has stepped in and all. I kept thinking 60-0 on the Giants fan base. The Jets are devastated forever. I mean, the fan base. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of psychiatric counseling going on in the island of Manhattan, okay? Because it's a lot. And then, I'm a low-key Giants fan because I always root for them because they're always like kind of like smash mouth, and they beat the Patriots twice in Super Bowl, which I think is like,
I remember,
they deserve my admiration for forever. And they kept the perfect season, thank God, for the Dolphins. And we all love this moment. Anyway, the point is the Giants came back and they gave the fans hope. Of course, being the Giants, they have now Barkley out for a month. So who knows what happens going forward. But I think, again, just the idea, if you win, you win. Like, to your point, it's an NFL team. Right. They showed up. They came back and won by 3 touchdowns. That gives the coaching room, all the coaching staff, all they need to kind of fuel them again. So I think that's important. I mean, because what can you say if you lost another 40-3 game or something, are we the worst team in history? No. Now all of a sudden they're 1-1, and they're, by the way, they're like in the wild card hunt once again. Yeah. Wait for it. Week 17, they'll be like 6-10, fighting for the last playoff spot in the NFC.
Right.
All right.
I think
I'm happy for the Giants. I don't know if it means that much. It means enough to get them to the next point.
I think my favorite part of that take was you referring to, we all love this. Without further detail or further reference.
Well, I'm talking to a Patriots fan that's still probably in complete shock about that moment.
I know what you're talking about.
Like telling a Red Sox fan, what does this mean?
All right. Next game, we're going to spend 0 seconds on. Cowboys beat the Jets 30-10. All right, moving on.
Well, I mean,
well, what?
Nothing. The Jets. I mean, here's the thing. I still thought the Jets. Besides their two young wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers playing pinball, playing a video game with them, the defense was supposed to be everything. Now, are the Cowboys that good, or the Jets defense that average? That's the real question.
That is the
Cowboys
question.
are that good.
But I'm just saying, it's the real question, but I don't think you're going to answer it this week against the Jets. Let's.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Okay.
Who did they play you next week, don't they? Do they play Dolphins?
You skipped. No, we play the Broncos.
Oh. I see. In my notes, I skipped.
You skipped over.
Yeah, I got you. All right. The 49ers and the Rams. The 49ers beat the Rams, which is not a surprise to me. However, Stafford, once again, without Cooper Kupp, goes 300 yards with a touchdown, and say it with me, Pua Nakua and Tutu Atwell.
By the way, Pua Nakua was everywhere.
Are at it again.
Pua Nakua was just having a game. I kept thinking, I like saying his name. Pua Nakua. I'm all over that.
They went 147 yards and 77 yards, respectively. Stafford, again, the Rams, they find themselves at 1-1, but I'm impressed with what they're doing without Cooper Kupp.
I think this bodes really well. Is Cooper Kupp back at any point?
I believe so. I forget what his injury was. I think it was just it's like a hamstring tweak or something.
Yeah. So I think this bodes well for the future. I mean, all of a sudden, Cooper Kupp could be the decoy for a whole offense that has now been activated. It's really the Rams. I mean, I'm telling you, they're looking pretty good. I mean, they're looking good. Yeah. And the Niners weren't as sharp. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down there.
Yep. All right, now moving on, we have our Commanders top dynamite game here. We have our Commanders topping the Broncos, 35-33. My only the note that I have here, my question for you, RPF, is there any universe? The Commanders are 2-0 now. Is there any universe where the Commanders can keep pace with the Cowboys and Eagles?
Sorry. I mean, this universe. No, there isn't. There, maybe intergalactically somewhere, in Uranus and Saturn where they meet.
We joke about the Giants, taking that last wild card spot in the NFC. Can the Commanders be the Giants instead?
Yes, I think so. I think the Commanders have enough talent to be the new New York Giants type of team, where they're going to be they're on the bubble and they kind of have to beat some team to. Yeah, I think so. But I do think that more importantly here were the Broncos and how, the trash talking, the newly fangled trash talking head coach, the swag is back for Wilson, and 0-2. Weird.
Yep.
I mean, if anyone had the Commanders beating the Broncos this in week 2 of this season, and they still had confidence in the Broncos season.
Yeah.
And next week, as I mentioned just now, the Broncos are going to Miami for the season opener because Miami is 2-0 on the road. So I don't think week 3 is going to go that well for
I doubt it either.
Okay.
All right, my friend. Without further ado, we find ourselves at the Sunday night football game. Dun, 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 dun. It is Dolphins, Patriots. For those of you who don't know, for the 14 listeners, for the one of you that doesn't know, RPF is a massive Dolphins fan. I'm a massive Patriots fan. I have in my notes here, RPF, I said, you can talk about whatever the F you want. I'm tired of our games coming down to toes and inches. So you know what?
Well, the thing, look,
eloquently, the floor is yours.
Look, there's a couple of things. One is I love the text you sent me right before the game. Are you ready? I'm like, dude, are you ready?
I was ready.
This is going to be like, I know, I was ready to. Actually, your setup was really cool. Were you like up in New England with like outdoor?
I was in Vermont. Yep.
It's almost like a drive-in movie
Yes,
theater
it is.
screen
It is.
in
It
the
is,
backyard with like
I believe
fire
it is,
pit going and the whole thing.
It is 12 feet high, 20 feet wide.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's taller.
That's how you watch Sunday Night Football.
That is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That and also in the fetal.
Conversely,
also in the fetal position.
You can have like a delicious Chinese food at your house with like a huge TV screen on top of the fireplace.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so go ahead.
I will tell you this. Oh yeah. Anyway, so the pregame stuff and all the hype, and of course the Dolphins, across the board, were like, I picked the Patriots to come back. All the announcers were picking the Patriots. I'm thinking, oh, this bodes well for us. That's good. The Dolphins are never picked by anybody, so it's kind of like no respect. All right, interdivision rival away, our second away game.
Yeah. Get to it. Come on.
No, and I'm just saying all this stuff is building up, and I'm thinking, and Belichick is, as you mentioned last week, is the master, of course, at taking away the strongest weapon
which he
the
did.
team has, which he did. But what he didn't count on was Mike McDaniel telling Tua, now guess what? You're a regular quarterback now. You're going to be dumping the ball 10, 15 yards down the field. We're not going to take away the one pass he tried to throw downfield. Gonzalez picked him off.
Yep.
So. And that's Tua wants to throw the ball downfield, and everyone wants to see that, but no. Anyway, running game was back. We were consistent. We were patient. We were steady. We were opportunistic. Bradley Chubb showed up for the first time since we traded for him, or got him as a free agent, or whatever we did with him. He stripped the ball.
Since he arrived.
He stripped the ball. Thank you. Since he arrived. Since he became a Dolphin. He had 2 quarterback sacks. He stripped the fumble. We had the interception, which was, anyway, all this stuff was happening, and the game felt safe for Miami. Like we were up by 7 or 14, and Mostert had a good game. Tua had a solid game. Everyone had a solid game. All of a sudden, becomes a Dolphin-Patriots game. All of a sudden, after that untouched 35-yard or whatever it was, that run for the end zone, Mostert, and then the Dolphins relaxed. In the next series, for the first time all game, you guys marched on the field efficiently and quickly and scored the touchdown.
Yep.
We're up by 7. Of course, for the 13th time in 2 weeks, there was a mishandle snap that Tua mishandled on 3rd down and 1, became a punt. It became a punt. So what happens? You guys get the ball back, driving down the field. And of course, this is with the part where always happens, like the Miracle in Miami or some dramatic thing happens. So here now, here's the setup: 3rd down and 2, I think it was, or 4th down and 2. Mac Jones throws the ball to Gesicki, which is the former Dolphin, which was my favorite player for the Dolphins. He's tall and leaning in, but he's clearly a yard short. Pitches the ball back to the first person he sees in his jersey, an offensive lineman. I don't even know his name. Offensive lineman sees the. Okay, I don't know if you saw the video. His eye, from his point of view, his eyes got this big when he got the ball. He got the ball like, oh my God, come to Papa.
Yep.
And he got the ball, and we had like half our defense trying to stop this bowling ball of a man rolling forward an inch further, because that's going to be a first down, and the game is not over. So what happens is, at first, it looked like he got the first down because he was, but what in further replay shows that Van Ginkel, which by the way has been all over the field for us that night.
Oh my God.
2 sacks, and
I was so tired of hearing that name.
Van Ginkel, he's like our Viking. He's like this guy.
But it's like, it's not even like, it's just no offense to him. Obviously, it's his lineage, but like, it's not even like an imposing name. And he was all like, to your point,
Ginkel.
He had an amazing game, and he was all over the place. So it was constantly Van Ginkel. Oh, there's Van Ginkel. And I'm like, stop it. I'm like, who is this?
Like you're thinking of Rip Van Winkle or something. Yeah. So anyway, but Van Ginkel's supposed to be this Viking, and I keep thinking of his old man, kind of like like a little elf person. Anyway, so Van Ginkel with the blonde, long hair, of course. Talk about Brett Girl. Anyway, he literally, he's trying to strip the ball, and your instinct as a runner is to go down to protect the ball when you're trying to get the strip. So that's what he did, and somehow the guy managed to be literally maybe 6 millimeters short, and he was short. I mean, let's be fair to the refs. It was properly called. And the heartbreak for me, honestly, my dual reaction was like, oh my God, we won the game. And oh, no, not again for the Patriots, who was like one little toe tap away from potentially beating the Super Bowl bound Eagles.
Yep.
And now here, the mighty Dolphins, who are about to be in trouble with, again, and that's, and we're talking about this briefly, how I've been through that season before when the Dolphins lose every game by a field goal or by a weird safety or something, and all of a sudden this taking the tenor so far this season, the Patriots are becoming that team. But I will say this: I think the Patriots are really solid, and I really believe this.
Yeah.
And I said it before the game. I said I'm glad we're getting them now early because I think they're going to get stronger. And to the last point, like we said earlier, this was, I mean, everywhere you looked, it was former Dolphins, just like like sticking it to Miami. And I was like, and after every play that they would, do a first down, they would get up and like tap their former friend on the head and say, gotcha. Anyway, it felt like a bit of like a Sandlot game at times, which was fun. Again, your quarterback was okay, serviceable, not as good as week one, but I do think the defense. And by the way, the last point I'll make: the defense for Miami, which were completely just non-existent for week one with the Chargers, letting 235 yards of rushing. We held the Patriots down to 80 yards in rushing, which was like a big comeback game necessary for Vic Fangio's big, fangled new defense. So anyway, I like the way the Dolphins won. I like the way I feel bad, honestly, and genuinely feel bad how the Patriots lost. But in my world, to start the season in any way you can, by any means necessary, 2 road victories, one in California, away from your, across the country, and then you go home to face the next 3 of the 4 weeks. You have the Giants and the Broncos and winnable games.
Yeah,
I'm liking where we are at this moment.
Sure. My only takeaway, my only silver lining takeaway is, to your point, I do think they're playing well. They're playing Patriots. They're playing better than I thought they were going to play. And it seems like, from bird's eye view, the vast majority of their mistakes are all from their young players. So I think as the season goes on, Belichick will correct that ship. He'll right that wrong. Also, aside from the interception, which was his first of his career, but the Gonzalez that we picked up, the corner that we picked up in the first round, has been playing. They've been putting him on every number one that we've played.
He blanketed Tyreek Hill, which no one has been able to do.
Tyreek Hill.
Nobody has been able to do.
Yeah.
He had help on top, but still, he was still on top of it.
It's very promising. I just can't do this every week. If this is going to be my life for every weekend,
Wait. Who do you guys play next week?
Jets.
Is it the Bills?
We have the Jets.
Oh, the Jets. Then you have a week off. Thank God.
Hopefully.
Well, I hope the Jets defense don't show up.
Hopefully, we have the Jets. Then we have the Cowboys. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
At any rate,
we have the Cowboys at some point.
Let's move on. Let's move on so we can put a bow on our week 2 wrap up here. We'll move on to Monday night, which was obviously just fresh in our brains. It was a bit of a snooze fest.
Oh my God.
We got the Saints beating the Panthers 20-17. I've got no talking points here. It was a the
dreadful game.
The Saints are 2-0, but as you mentioned earlier, they're probably the worst 2-0 team there is. Derek Carr did absolutely nothing special.
Derek Carr has, every opportunity to do anything.
Yeah,
and he's doing Derek Carr things.
Yeah, he might figure it out though. And then in the other game, you had the Browns losing to the Steelers, which puts them both at 1-1. The final score was 26-22. The
Steelers look worse winning?
It took the Steelers 2 defensive touchdowns, I believe, to pull this off. I think the big news here, the biggest highlight, or not highlight, sorry, no, don't mean highlight. The biggest headline of that game was Nick Chubb and how awful and gross that was.
Oh my God. Well, I have to give credit here to the Disney execs or ESPN, ABC, whoever decided not to show that replay, because I literally, to this day, I'm not a young buck anymore. I remember distinctly, I don't know when it was, but Joe Theismann, when he broke his leg.
Yep.
That I literally can't. I think about it at least once a month. That replay. That literally they replayed it 10 times, and I was like,
"Wow!" Yeah.
It was the most horrifying moment in sports to me, to see his leg bend in that unnatural way. And the same thing here. Thank God that other kids don't have to look at that injury over and over again in their minds. So anyway, Chubb, I think. They just announced today he's out for the season, of course, and Godspeed. Injuries. That's the name of the game here.
My question that I have for you after last night's games, RPF, is after week 2, did you have the NFC North, or I'm sorry, the AFC North as Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals?
I think that would have been a good, easy money if anyone had that. I think, look, the Bengals last year, remember, they lost week 1 to the Steelers. So I think they're a little bit of a slow starting team. Mm-hmm. The past 2 years, they haven't had, burnout. They haven't come out of the gate screaming. So I think, yes, being in last place, it's surprising. They would have been, I would thought maybe 1-1. The thing that's not surprising, it's not the record. We talked about 2-0 teams that are terrible and 0-2 teams that are good. It's the play of the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Burrow, not only is it the biggest gap in the entire league between teams winning and losing and quarterback performance and it's expectation and performance of Burrow.
Yeah.
The expectation is here. His performance has been here without a real reason.
Right.
But that's the thing that gets me.
Correct.
Without a real reason. It's not like all of a sudden he's in concussion protocol and he didn't get diagnosed.
Right. Or he lost receivers, or he lost. If they bolstered the front line.
The front line was like the hero is here. Yeah. His weak side is protected.
It's very strange to me, and that's why I keep bringing it up.
Have you heard a credible reason why this is happening? I mean, there's a lot of noise about it, but what's the reason?
Yeah,
is something going on with his personal life? Is something happening with coaching rift or something?
I don't know.
I have the feeling that week 7 we'll find out the truth that his pet turtle died or something.
Harder.
I have no idea.
I guess it's harder to play with millions and millions of dollars in your back pocket.
But it's not even that. Joe Burrow, freshman year in college, is playing better than Joe Burrow is now. I mean, I don't understand that. That's the drop off in quality. It's not just he's sitting in the pocket week 1 6 different times without anyone in sight. Without any lineman coming at him, and he's sitting there, and he's underthrowing or overthrowing by the dozen yards. That's the part that gets me. Something's going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my biggest surprise. Not the Bengals per se, it's Burrow's performance.
I agree, and that's why I keep bringing it up. RPF, any other general thoughts on week 2?
Week 2.
So no,
I would invest in. I would invest in Advil. There's a lot of stress. I mean, I don't remember. I've been a fan my entire life. I don't remember the Dolphins. If you're a Dolphin fan, the anticipation, the other shoe dropping any minute. It's like who knows? God help us, but something happens. Like a gorilla lands in an alien lands and kidnaps half the team. Who knows? I mean. When things are going well for Miami, the entire fan base is holding hands saying, please God, do not do anything wrong. So that's what this year I'm gonna shake that demon and just watch the games, the confidence, and so that's my week 2. We survived 2 road games. We're on our way.
There you go. Yeah. Here we are, RPF, my dear friend, and we are about to break into the weekend of the NFL. We're going to recap real quick the Thursday night game between the Giants and the 49ers, and then take a look ahead at all of the Sunday games and Monday games coming up. RPF, is there anything before we get started in cranking on this schedule for Sunday? Is there anything you would like to share with our fans, or add, or share with me, or share with your cats?
With my cat, for sure. Quickly, I think as anticipated as this season has been for me, I mean, I've been so excited, obviously, being a Dolphin fan and the whole thing. But week 3, so early in the season, I literally have Sunday at 4 o'clock free to do whatever I want, because those games are literally should be a commercial for like sleeping pills. Oh, my God. Literally, you have 3 games at 4 o'clock slot. Unless you're a diehard fan of one of these loser teams, walk away. This is your time to bond with your spouse, to hang out with your significant other, to bond with your cats. You have Sunday at 4 across the country. You have that 4 p.m. slot completely open.
Yeah, it's they're not solid, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's start, my man RPF. Let's start with I call it a Thursday recap, but there's really nothing to recap. I think the final score was 30-12.
Does it matter?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. It doesn't matter. There's really, really nothing at all to break down about the game. It was exactly what we expected.
I'll give you the headline. Brock is efficient. Yawn. McCaffrey and Samuel are a duo that have to be considered. Yawn. The Niners have they topped with the Cowboys? we'll talk about that. But the Cowboys and Niners are head and shoulders above everyone else in the NFC.
So with that said, with the point you just brought up there, the 49ers obviously looked impressive, of course, in their blowout win. Other news was, and this is very strange to me, but other news, Cowboys lost Trayvon Diggs to an ACL tear in practice. Like this was, I don't know that I've ever heard of.
How are they practicing? I mean, how could they not? I mean.
I don't know that I've ever heard of this severe of an injury from practice. I'm sure it happened. I think it
was in the locker room, probably doing like a double Dutch bus contest or something, or like breakdancing contest, a dance off with with Michael Parsons.
Right. My question, RPF, on the serious side, my question is, we've been touting the Cowboys with their two already blowout wins. We've been touting the Cowboys as sort of the toast of the NFC, perhaps. With the injury to Trayvon Diggs and with the 49ers looking as they look, does this sort of put the 49ers above the Cowboys?
No.
I'll say, they've been kind of neck and neck, in my opinion. They've been kind of neck and neck.
Mm-hmm.
Does it put them well above, a little above, not above? What are your thoughts?
I was rating the Cowboys at 98 out of 100 the first 2 weeks, and the Niners were about 87. So now I think it's 91 Niners, 93 Cowboys. Until the Cowboys, again, Cowboys do it differently each week. Offense and defense, they have that balance and that power, and they have Michael Parsons, and they have, and they're playing with a different swag. I mean, until proven otherwise, which by the way, this week the Cowboys will not be challenged. Obviously, they're playing the Cardinals, so I think the Cowboys will again be the Cowboys, and kind of it's a fun type of thing. It's 97 to 93 or something now. So we'll see. Yeah, but I think Cowboys are still, until proven otherwise, they're still head and shoulders above everyone else, including the Niners. In my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. So I had the 49ers above the Cowboys to begin with. They're, to me,
I thought Dallas was your team going to the Super Bowl.
49ers.
The Niners? Oh, you did. Okay.
49ers. I do have. So these teams meet in 2 weeks, and by all accounts, they should both be 4-0 at that point. Yes, the Cowboys are playing the Patriots next week, so yes, I am conceding. All right. But by all accounts, they should be both 4-0 and very, very likely an NFC Championship preview. So
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, at any rate, I had the 49ers slightly above the Cowboys to begin with. So for me, honestly, this puts a little bit more of an uptick in the 49ers for me. The problem is that the Cowboys so far have played, and not that the 49ers have played anyone great. I think, did they play the Rams the first week? And they beat them.
49ers played the Rams.
Rams, yeah. I thought they were going to win. The Rams played better than we thought they were. But on the flip side, the Cowboys have played the Giants and the Jets. And now they're going to play the Cardinals.
And then the Patriots.
So,
That's true. That's true. That's actually very true. Very true.
So
maybe that's what they needed in each season, the past 20, an easy schedule to start and give them confidence or something.
Yeah. Could be. All right, let's move on. We got our Sunday. We'll start with the 1:00 games for Sunday. Starting with the 1 o'clocks, the first couple. Listen, a lot of these are kind of snooze fests, but out of the gate, I've got Colts at 1-1 taking on the undefeated 2-0 Ravens. Should be easy.
Ravens by 21.
Yeah, should be pretty easy. Do you? It doesn't matter. I was going to ask if we knew if Richardson was back.
I don't care.
Next up on the docket, we've got two 1-1 teams in the Titans taking on the Browns again.
It's not interesting, but kind of interesting. I mean, again, it can go. I think Derrick Henry has a breakout game. I think the Titans surprised the Browns here.
Yeah,
I mean, that's surprising me, but I think Derrick Henry's going to go. Okay, I'm back. So I think that's going to be his game.
I agree. Next up on my slate, I listed here, I have the defeated 0-2 Broncos taking on your undefeated 0-2 Broncos taking on your undefeated 2-0 Dolphins. I know you want to touch on this. I don't want to touch on this. If they don't win by 21 points, I will be shocked.
My fan who loves this podcast will be very upset if I don't touch upon this. So let me. Quickly, obviously, the Dolphins, I mean, it's the home opener. We're 2-0 on the road. This all systems, the Broncos are in disarray. Sean Payton is a Tua hater from way back.
All systems point to mass destruction.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it should be. I mean, honestly, I'd be surprised if it's this. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a 37-14 game or something. But having said that, Tua has a big game. Bradley Chubb has a big game. It's the revenge game for him. Chubb was a Bronco, and his buddies are all over there. And Chubb had a good game against the Patriots finally. So then Jalen Phillips, don't sleep on him. He's back from a 1 week injury, and that's the guy who Van Ginkel just was all over the field with against the Patriots, and he's now all of a sudden saying, "Wait, it's my job. It is my." So he's going to step up and have a monster game. So I think the Broncos are in for a big hurting at Hard Rock Stadium. So I think the Dolphins will win by 4 touchdowns.
I agree. Like I said, I don't want to spend any more time on this. It's
but now we have your team, Patriots at the Jets. I like the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be.
Listen. The Patriots. I've said in the last 2 weeks, the Patriots have proved to be better than I thought they were going to be. But here's the kicker. Here's where I'm scared. Right. By all accounts, they should win this game against the Jets. There's no Aaron Rodgers. There's only Zach Wilson, and I don't care what weapons he has. There's only Zach Wilson. So by all accounts, they should win this game. I am so petrified that they might not.
And then what? Then you have the Cowboys. Oh my God.
Yes, and then we're 0-3 going up against the Cowboys the next, and it's just like as they say,
you have to win. You have to win.
I can't.
I can't.
This is
a major I can't. This is like
This is. I mean, it's crazy to say in week 3, but this to me as a Patriots fan is a must-win game. They have to win. Otherwise, I will just be completely defeated, and I don't know what bandwagon I'm going to jump on after that. But
you see that? But the Patriots just signed the backup quarterback. Do you see that? You see that?
No,
they literally signed a backup quarterback to a team that didn't have a quarterback or something. It was very strange. I mean, just Google it if you want. It's Patriots just signed the number 2 quarterback behind your guy. So anyway, the Patriots, I'm hoping, honestly, for the sake of humanity and your mood for the next weeks, I definitely hope to God that the Patriots pull out a win against the Jets.
Next one on the docket, also a little bit of intrigue here is the Bills versus Commanders. And normally I wouldn't have this as a game of intrigue for me, but the Commanders, and now keep in mind the Commanders picked up Eric Bieniemy, the offensive guru from the Chiefs. So the Commanders find themselves at 2-0, playing pretty damn good ball. And the Bills, let's not forget, looked despicable week 1. Obviously looked better last week, but they're kind of a roller coaster. So this one could be close.
Josh Allen was like abducted by aliens in week 1, and someone else. I mean, honestly, it was just like his cousin Morty played quarterback with a Josh Allen uniform on in week 1. Week 2, he came back to earth and became Josh Allen. I always have 1 week that I'm hoping, but I know logically I'm wrong. I'm hoping the Commanders are for real. The Bills are playing away from Buffalo. It's early in the season.
Yep.
They could be cocky coming off a big win, the Bills. So it could be a sneak. It could be one of those games that you go, what? How did remember when the Bills lost a couple years ago to the Jaguars, and you're like, what? Like,
yeah.
And it was like, how did that happen? And the Jaguars won 3 games the whole season. This is the type of game I have a feeling for this one. I'm hoping you're right. I hope the Commanders step up and just somehow that would really give the Dolphins a soft landing for a minute. So that'd be nice. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, imagine if you guys move to 3-0 and then the rest of the AFC is
1-2
at best 1-2. Yeah.
No, because if you win, it'll be 1-2. The Jets will be 1-2, and the Bills will be 1-2.
Yeah.
So we clinched the division in week 3. The
I mean, kind of.
And then Tua has He has a headache, and the whole world stops spinning. So yes, let's not.
All right,
crazy.
moving on to keep this bad boy rolling. The next one on the docket, I've got this one's a little bit of an intrigue as well. I've got the 2-0 Falcons versus the 1-1 Lions.
It's funny. I thought the Falcons played the Lions last week. It was kind of all interchangeable. It's the Packers. They all were kind of like the same team.
I've got
the Lions are going to win.
I've got two questions here. My two questions are the Lions who we hoped they could be? And then the follow-up question is, or are the Falcons who no one knew they were?
No. I think the Lions win handily here in Detroit.
Okay. I see. I think they win. I'm not so sure about handily.
Well, never going to win handily with that defense they have. But yes, they're going to win.
So here's what I do when I look through games, right? I always look at it as if I were betting on these games, like who's the sure bet, and then the games I have of intrigue are the ones that I'm like, I don't know. And this is one of them. Like I don't know that I would throw money on either of these two teams.
I don't. Well, these are two unknowns that are trying to become knowns, right? So I think that the Lions have more expectation. I think they're better prepared. I think they have more weapons. So the Falcons are playing above their pay grade. The Lions are playing at their pay grade. They should step up more. So I think the Lions at home pull this up.
Yeah. Well, here's another one that my 10-cent bets are going absolutely nowhere near is the 2-0 Saints versus the 1-1 Packers.
10-cent bet. That is rich. That's rich blood. That's too rich.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, listen. If you listen to the show, you know that I never go above 20 cents. 20 cents is like.
I don't want our sponsors,
about this
our potential sponsors, to be assuming that we'll take 10-cent sponsor deals. He means it's ironic.
I will take a sponsorship. I will take a sponsorship for $10 because that'll last me like 3 seasons of betting.
That is the saddest thing I've ever heard. Okay, I mean, this is a game again. Also, I think that the Packers surprise maybe even themselves by handily beating the Saints here.
Okay,
at Green Bay.
I could see it.
If I had my 10-cent bet, it'd be on the Packers straight up, not even over under.
Sure, yeah. I could see that. Next one, we got not Titans, Texans versus Jaguars. Again, another one. This is like I believe the Jaguars should win.
They will. The Texans have literally nothing going for them, and the Brett Girl's going to come back because he read all the hype about himself this whole season, the preseason. He's not going to let this moment pass. He knows on the schedule this is a sure win. He's going to make sure his hair is all blow it out perfectly. He's going to be completely coiffed. He's going to look really good when his head shakes after the game, when he's the man of the match, as they say in England. Anyway, he's going to be fine. They're going to win by a couple touchdowns. Yeah.
And listeners, I would like to point out it's not very often. I doubt there's many shows out there where you will hear the word coiffed. Next game. This one is very intriguing. This is a very intriguing matchup to me, only because if you had told me that the Week 3 matchup between the Chargers and Vikings would be between two 0-2 teams, and that after this game, one of these two teams will be 0-3, I would not have believed you.
Well, this is one of the games of the week. I think. When was the last time Week 3 0-2 teams becomes like the marquee game of the entire afternoon? Right?
Yeah. But somebody's season is
about
dying.
To be really hit hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Chargers are going to win going away. And I think the Vikings are not out of it at 0-3. The NFC 0-3 is just where everyone wants to start the season anyway. So I think for playoff contention. I think 0-3. I think the 0-3 Vikings will do better. Will end up in a higher position than the Saints that are now currently undefeated. So let's not panic yet anywhere. In the AFC, if the Chargers become 0-3, then it could be lights out. I think the Chargers do not go 0-3. I think the Chargers win handily. And it's going to be interesting because it's at Minnesota. So I think this is going to be... And by the way, all these rumors swirling around Kirk Cousins going to the Jets. Did you hear this? All this stuff?
No.
So that's kind of interesting to me. So anyway, I think the Chargers do... If the Vikings go 0-3, are they willing to part ways with their quarterback?
0-3, I don't know. I'd be
yeah, 0-7 would be one thing.
Yeah, I'd be curious to look up who the Vikings play next week.
Do you think so? Are your 10 cents going to the Chargers or the Vikings?
I did not bet on this game. I'm not going near this game. It's a toss up.
So what are you betting on?
I parlayed. So if you will,
I love him. Talk about a betting a podcast with the word parlay in it. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's
know,
like
it's a betting
every
show,
every betting show. Yeah, I mean, yes,
we're not a betting show.
or any pirate podcast. Arr.
That's the podcast I want to listen to. I want to be part of the
parlay.
Where's the parrot? I want to be.
So I did it. I did an 8-game parlay because this
8-game.
Yeah, listen, because this week is such a snooze fest, meaning there's so many heavy favorites. I basically just did an 8-game parlay of all of the favorites. So I took the Ravens over the Colts. I took the Dolphins over the Broncos. I took, what else was there? Jaguars over Texans, I think, was a huge one. And then the 4:00 games, I took like every game.
So if you bet 10 cents on that and you win, you get what? $1?
I will. Yes, about that. Yep, just about that. Yeah.
Do you generally get upset if you lose the 10-cent bet?
No, but listen, man, it keeps me in games. It keeps me paying attention. So listen, I put a lot of my bets came in. You know what? Let's get into it right now.
That forces you to watch the 4 p.m. game that no one in the country will be watching.
Exactly my point. Let's get into it right
now.
My God. The 4 p.m.
Cowboys
slate.
and Cardinals. Come on, Cowboys.
The 4 p.m. slot. I'm just gonna say all 3 games, and then
I don't care about any of them. Panthers
versus Seahawks, Cowboys versus Cardinals, Bears versus Chiefs. Should we discuss any of these?
Nope.
Okay. And so,
I mean, if put it to you a different way. If anyone has a question about who will win those games, they shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
Exactly, and that's why I basically did this huge parlay because they should win. So obviously, if you put
Seahawks, Cowboys,
the more games you have
Chiefs
to hit, the better your odds become. And for all intents and purposes, so many of these games this weekend should hit. So
the only games that matter really, besides the Chargers and Vikings, are the primetime games on Sunday night and 2 Monday night games.
Yes,
those are really, truly, for the first time in a long time, the marquee games of the week.
Yes. So Sunday night, we don't have any. Sunday night, the Steelers and Raiders. It's not necessarily a matchup of 2 heavy hitters, but you've got both teams at 1-1, and it could be a great game to prove
the winner of this game. I predict will be the last wild card at the end of the season.
Okay. Yeah. So right. So one team moves to 2-1, the other one goes to 1-2. So I think this is very pivotal. For either team, whichever one comes out on top.
In the AFC, because there's so much top heavy talent on the AFC.
Right.
If this was 1-1 in the NFC, it'd be like, okay, But right now, the AFC, you're going to have teams that are 10-7, way out of the playoffs. So this matters. Yeah. This game matters.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then Monday night, I think, in my opinion, there's 2 great matchups on Monday night. The first one being the Eagles versus Bucks, both undefeated teams. My notes on this one here are: listen, I've been on sort of the Mayfield and the Bucks. I don't want to call it a bandwagon yet, but I was curious
you're like in the little red wagon. you're in the little I'll pull you along on the little red wagon.
I've been intrigued ever since I found out that Mayfield was with the Bucks, and they have the same roster. I've been intrigued with what they're doing. They're 2-0. Yes, they've been playing against the NFC South. So my point is they have an opportunity here to go in and sort of prove that perhaps they are for real. And to me, to be quite frank with you, I know there are no silver lining losses or whatever, however you want to say it. But to me, even if they hang tight with the Eagles and it's a close game, maybe a 1-score field goal type of game, and they lose, I'm still going to go, okay.
I have the Eagles 27-21, which plays into your comment.
I
think the Eagles, as I mentioned before, are solid across the board. There's no denying that they're solid on offense and defense, but are they great on either side of the ball? And they need a great offense and defensive scheme and players on the other team to beat them. I think that the Bucks, like you said, you're in the little red wagon. I'm kind of pulling the wagon with you. Not quite there yet. So actually,
tricycle,
you should be pulling because you're so tall. You have longer arms. Anyway, the point at tricycle, But the point is that I think the Bucks don't have enough. They don't have enough to get there to the Eagle promised land, but I think it's going to be competitive, and I think the Eagles will be a little shook, and the Bucks will be a little bit more respected from this loss. That's what I think that's what you're saying also. So
Yeah, I am. And then on the flip side, if the Bucs ended up surprising us all, I'd kind of be like, yeah, well, I wouldn't.
Be careful, Saints. You know,
it wouldn't be a shock face emoji.
Yeah, it would be like,
Yeah. All right, and then the next one, the Rams. I didn't expect this to begin the season, but the Rams versus the Bengals.
Yeah.
I'm
all in for the Rams, baby. I'm all in.
Just given what we've seen the first 2 weeks, I gotta say I think the Rams are going to win this game. And what shocks me to say that is, are the Bengals going to start the season 0-3? Like what then?
Yeah. I mean, and in the AFC,
right? Correct. Yeah.
And we get to say again the lovely, mellifluous term of Pua Nakua. Is that his name?
Puka Nakua.
I mean, even better. Puka Nakua. I mean, seriously.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Actually, you know what? If my Patriots lose this weekend to the Jets, and I have to jump on another
out there in the universe, yeah,
and I have to jump on another bandwagon, I think I'm going on the Rams bandwagon, and I'm gonna get a Nakua shirt.
Goodbye, Zappy Hour. Hello, Puka Nakua. Puka Nakua. I mean, how can you not root for a guy named Puka Nakua? I mean, honestly,
just the two of them.
It's un-American not to root for a guy named Puka Nakua.
Puka and Tutu. I can't get enough of it.
I mean, they have to become best friends and go on the road with this act. I mean, they have to.
Oh my gosh, it's great. But
seriously, the Bengals. If the Bengals go 0-3, the NFL world will stop spinning. You know, it'll be, first of all, CBS football is going to go explode. Their head will explode because they have every marquee game for the Bengals going forward is like the 4 p.m. game or the marquee game.
Here's the great news. So. Here's the great news. If the Bengals go 0-3, all the pressure is off of me for my Super Bowl, all of my playoff picks because I had them winning this whole thing. So if they're done on week 3, I got nothing to worry about. I can just kind of
you thought for sure that the Bengals would be the Dolphins this year and the Dolphins would be the Bengals. So I mean,
my gosh, man.
I know. It's funny. But I think, look, this is going to be, I think this is a week we just kind of check off as, what's the word? Rote, as kind of expected. Nothing's going to be surprising.
You are hitting on all 4 cylinders on vocabulary today. This is amazing.
Being an editor-in-chief, I have to I was listening back to some of our podcasts and the banality of our discussions.
You're like, wow, Jonah's really dumbing this show down. I gotta do something.
The aforementioned comment that you had. Jonah. It's kind of superfluous in our endeavor as we proceed forward in our task. No, listen. Bottom line is, week 3 is going to be like, check. I think you'll win the dollar from your betting. I mean, honestly, exactly. So you'll be up for week 3. But I think the big game for me are the Rams and Bengals. I mean, that's the game.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I assume the Dolphins won't give me a heart attack, which it's a big F, historically speaking. But and the Patriots, come on, Patriots. Beat the Jets, get you guys all in the same mess down in the basement. And if the Commanders can pull one off, oh my God, that'd be like, it's Christmas in September.
Yep.
So anyway, today's my favorite number. We're recording this on Friday the 22nd. Nothing but good vibes for NFL Week 3. No surprises. Let's go Rams, Commanders, Dolphins, and Patriots. How's that for a wrap-up?
Sounds great to me. That sounds great for a wrap-up. Hey, you can listen to us everywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple and Spotify and all the great platforms. You can also find us socially on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. And we will pop right up for all your listening pleasure. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye, Jonah.